Hi there. Thanks for stopping by. I just wanted to share some reflections on writing and publishing, of course, because that's my jam. So, the other night I watched the first episode of the Hulu series Nine Perfect Strangers, where one of the characters, played by Melissa McCarthy, is a romance writer. She's had her contract canceled by the publisher because romance is dead. She rails against the notion that she should kill her characters because in order to align herself with current reading tastes. Oh boy. So I want to tell you that I think they got that bit wrong. Last month, Louise Ells and I spent 4 long hours at a Chapters Indigo for an author event and signing. We paired up because our novels, hers, Lies I Told My Sister, Latitude 46, 2024, and mine, share some similar themes. We were very grateful to have each other because people whizzed by, avoiding eye contact as if we were snake oil peddlers. Louise, however, was brilliant at engaging these otherwise reluctant readers by calling out a greeting, followed by the question, "What do you like to read?" That at least got them to, pause and respond. So try to guess how many said women's fiction or literary fiction. I'll end the suspense. Exactly none. One woman said she loved to read CanLit and especially by local authors. So hers was one of our two sales. Louise had sold a copy of our books before we set up and before I even arrived, so I don't know who purchased that one. So you might be wondering, what were the responses to Louise's question? You guessed it, romance. Not everyone said romance. They also said sci fi, historical fiction, horror, fantasy, and nonfiction. So I was thinking, it may be that a literary writer needs to be on some illustrious list, such as the Giller, the Governor General's Award, the Writers' Trust, or even Canada Reads, in order to have sold more than 1,000 copies of their novel. Because I understand that to be a Canadian bestseller, one needs only to have sold 5,000 copies. Otherwise, it appears that the general reading public reads genre fiction. They want escape. And I know this because of how my second novel was turned down by three of Canada's most successful literary agents. Two of them remarkably generous and thoughtful with their comments on rejecting me, no, about how they'd appreciated the writing and why they chose not to represent it. Like What the Living Do, this this next novel doesn't flinch. They're bitter pills to swallow as I explore tough subjects. And perhaps for the same reason people binge on true crime stories, i.e., bad things happening to somebody else, readers want romantasy, fantasy, even horror. Horror, because at least that's not happening to me. These lovely agents confess that although they found the story compelling, they felt they wouldn't be able to sell it because people are not lining up to buy literary fiction unless. But my stories, as I've discovered speaking to dozens of people who've read What the Living Do, reflect what has happened to them. And they feel seen and oddly reassured. I get this feedback all the time. For a book that took years to get published, I find it rather surprising that those who are reading it say the same kind of thing, that they can relate to this flawed, damaged, stubborn character of Brett Catlin in my story. Um, the hard thing is to pitch it to at book fairs or events where it's up to me to talk to attendees to try and, when they ask you, so what's your book about, to give them that elevator pitch that makes it sound like it's something they want to read. I say, okay, it's about a woman grappling with a traumatic past that comes to haunt her when she's diagnosed with cancer. Oh, they say, and move along. Considering the years it takes to research and write a literary novel, the one that finally did sell, What the Living Do, 3 years, and the one that I'm trying to sell now, about 15 years. And then the subsequent expense of promoting and marketing said novels, it's not an impressive return on investment. The royalties barely trickle in, so that every author I know also teaches. And yet we plug away writing the stories we need to write because we need to write them. Moments in the spotlight are exhilarating, but the thrill is short lived because the keyboard is calling. There's always the next one to attend to. And it's just about the love of writing, and we have to write what we need to write. I'll say it again. It is in itself a tough pill to swallow that the stories that really matter on a human level, people aren't interested. And as one wonderful agent said, right now people do need to escape. And my stories are not political. They'll read political stories, but my stories are really about the human condition and our flaws and our strange narratives and how we deal with them. Anyway, those are my thoughts for today, and maybe you can relate. And I'd love to see if you have some comments. Thanks for listening.